Admiral Darius Vorn stood tall in the command bridge of the UES Relentless Asterisk, his gaze fixed on the sleek, holographic display before him. The ship's control panel flickered with various indicators, all of which pointed to the inevitable. The alien fleet was closing in. Darius's stark white uniform seemed to glow under the dim lights of the bridge, his sharp features carved into a mask of unshakable calm. His years of experience in battle showed in his posture, but even the most hardened warrior would have felt the weight of the moment. Across from him, several terrifying figures loomed. Their skin was bone-pale, stretched thin over skeletal bodies, with long, deadly claws glinting in the artificial light. Their elongated heads, sharp teeth, and insectoid limbs made them creatures straight from the darkest depths of human fear. These were the Haravak, creatures bred for conquest, cold and efficient in their annihilation of entire species. The Haravak leader, a particularly grotesque figure with rows of sharp, yellowed teeth, hissed as it approached the admiral. Its voice was an unsettling mixture of clicks and guttural growls, translated through the ship's systems. "Human," it began, its many eyes narrowing in disdain. "You are outnumbered, your technology primitive compared to ours. Surrender now, and we may let your kind live as slaves." Admiral Vorn didn't flinch, didn't move a muscle. He had faced similar threats many times before, though none quite as visceral as this. He knew the Haravak fleet outgunned them in numbers, weaponry, and technology. But there was one thing they had underestimated: the resilience of humanity. "We've heard these kinds of ultimatums before," Darius said, his voice steady, cutting through the low hum of the ship's systems. "And we've survived. Your threats are nothing new, alien. We do not surrender." The creature bared its teeth, a mixture of fury and surprise in its expression. Behind it, a dozen other Haravak warriors shifted restlessly, their elongated claws clicking against the ship's metallic floor. They were waiting for the command to strike, to tear apart the human admiral who stood defiantly before them. "I do not think you understand your situation," the Haravak leader growled, stepping closer. "You are on the brink of extinction. We have crushed civilizations more advanced than yours." Vorn's lips curled into the faintest hint of a smile. He turned to his second-in-command, Lieutenant Kaida, standing at a nearby terminal. "Kaida, have we locked coordinates for the Nova strike?" Kaida, a young and fiercely intelligent officer, nodded with a determined expression. "Coordinates locked, Admiral. The Nova cannon is primed and ready for your command." The Haravak leader froze at the mention of the Nova cannon. It was humanity's most devastating weapon, designed not just to destroy ships but entire fleets in one fell swoop. The alien's eyes flickered with uncertainty for a brief second, but it quickly regained its composure. "This is your final warning, human," the alien hissed. "Surrender now, or your species will be no more." Vorn took a slow, deliberate step forward. The room seemed to tighten with the weight of the decision hanging in the air. His voice, cold and certain, echoed through the bridge. "If it's war you want," he said, his eyes locking with the alien's, "then we'll give you war." With a simple hand gesture, the admiral activated the command console. The control room hummed as the ship's systems began their final preparations for the strike. Outside, the UES Relentless Asterisk positioned itself toward the heart of the Haravak fleet, a lone, defiant ship against a seemingly unstoppable armada. The battle had only just begun. The air in the command bridge was taut with tension. The metallic hum of the UES Relentless's systems filled the silence as Admiral Darius Vorn watched the countdown to the Nova strike tick down with relentless precision. The Haravak leader's eyes widened as a realization crept into its alien mind. It had made the fatal mistake of assuming humanity's desperation was a weakness, not knowing that it was their greatest strength. "Fire," Vorn said calmly. With that single word, the Nova cannon unleashed its fury. The ship shuddered as its massive energy reserves powered the weapon, releasing a blast of brilliant white light that pierced the void of space. The energy wave tore through the Haravak fleet like a celestial storm, disintegrating ships in its path. On the bridge of the Relentless Asterisk, the holographic displays flickered with reports of enemy vessels being obliterated. their shields shattered by the Nova cannon's overwhelming power. The Hravak leader, once so confident, was now a figure of pure disbelief. Its warriors hissed in confusion and fear, their skeletal frames twitching as they processed the destruction unfolding before their eyes. Several of the alien ships in the distance erupted into fiery explosions, sending debris spiraling into the cold abyss. You've doomed yourselves!" the Hravak leader shrieked, its composure shattering. "Your weapon will not save you! Our reinforcements are endless!" Vorn turned to face the creature. His face was cold, emotionless, a mask perfected over years of battle. "We know about your reinforcements. They won't matter." The Hravak leader's furious gaze met his for a brief moment, before it made a sudden move, lunging forward with its claws extended, aiming for the admiral's throat. But before it could even make contact, Lieutenant Kaida's hand shot out, discharging her plasma pistol in one swift, fluid motion. The blast hit the alien in the chest, sending it sprawling to the floor, its body smoking and twitching. The remaining Hravak warriors hissed in unison, their claws scraping the floor as they prepared to strike. But Vorn raised his hand, signaling his crew to hold their fire. "Hold them," he ordered calmly. Instantly, energy shackles sprang from the walls, ensnaring the creatures. They thrashed against the restraints, snarling and spitting in their guttural language. "You'll pay for this," one of them growled, its eyes filled with hatred. "The Dominion will hunt your species to the ends of the galaxy." Vorn didn't respond. He knew the truth of the matter better than anyone else. The Hravak Dominion was vast, its resources seemingly endless, but there was something the aliens hadn't counted on. Humans were not easily conquered. The more desperate the situation became, the more dangerous they were. That was a lesson many civilizations had learned the hard way. "Kaida," Vorn said, his voice low but steady, "how many enemy ships remain?" The young lieutenant ran her fingers across the glowing display, analyzing the data. "Approximately 2/3 of the fleet remains intact, Admiral. But they're scattered and disorganized. We've crippled their command structure." "Good," Vorn replied. "Now it's time to press the advantage." As the relentless asterisk powered forward, cutting through the debris of the destroyed Hravak ships, the Admiral's tactical mind whirred into overdrive. The enemy was still dangerous, still capable of mounting a devastating counterattack, but their leadership was broken. Without proper coordination, they were vulnerable. He turned to Kaida again. "Deploy the fighter squadrons. I want them harassing the enemy's flanks. Target their weaker ships, but don't engage in prolonged combat. We're going to bleed them dry, bit by bit." Kaida nodded and relayed the orders to the fighter teams. Outside, the hangar doors of the relentless asterisk slid open, and dozens of sleek black fighter ships shot into the cold expanse of space, heading directly toward the disoriented Hravak forces. On the displays inside the command bridge, Vorn watched as the fighters darted through the enemy formations, striking swiftly and retreating before the Hravak could muster a defense. It was a calculated tactic, one designed to frustrate and exhaust the enemy, to weaken their resolve before the final strike. Vorn had no intention of giving the Hravak time to regroup. As the battle raged on, the comm system beeped, and a new voice came through. "Admiral, this is Captain Reagan aboard the Vanguard Asterisk. We've received word from the Martian Defense Fleet. They've detected a massive Hravak reinforcement armada on the move. They'll be here within 2 standard hours." Vorn's jaw tightened. Reinforcements. Of course. "Understood, Captain," Vorn replied. "Prepare for their arrival. We'll finish this wave before they get here." 2 hours wasn't long, but it would have to be enough. The key was to dismantle the current Hravak force before the reinforcements arrived. If they could deal a decisive blow now, they might be able to turn the tide of the war entirely. "Kaida," Vorn said, "initiate Phase 2 of the assault. We're going to hit their capital ships directly." Kaida's eyes widened slightly. "Admiral, that will leave us exposed. If we focus on their capitals—" "I know the risks," Vorn interrupted, "but it's our best shot. If we take out their largest vessels, the rest will scatter, and we'll deal with the reinforcements when they get here." Kaida hesitated for a moment, then nodded, inputting the commands into the ship's systems. The relentless adjusted course, its engines roaring to life as it surged toward the heart of the remaining Haravak fleet. The enemy capital ships loomed ahead, massive and imposing, their dark hulls covered in alien runes and weapons bristling with energy. "Everyone, brace for impact," Vorn commanded, gripping the edge of the control panel. The final stage of the battle was about to begin. The UES Relentless surged forward, engines roaring as it hurtled toward the heart of the Haravak fleet. Admiral Darius Vorn stood rigid, eyes locked on the largest enemy capital ship looming ahead. This was the moment that would define the battle. Strike the capital ships, and the rest of the Haravak forces would collapse. Fail, and the human fleet would be crushed between this wave and the incoming reinforcements. Lieutenant Kaida worked quickly at her station, her fingers flying over the console as she relayed orders to the rest of the fleet. The smaller human ships darted forward in formation, their sleek, angular frames weaving through the chaos of debris and fire. Fighter squadrons launched hit-and-run attacks on the remaining Haravak ships, striking engines, turrets, and communication arrays with surgical precision. "Admiral, the Vanguard and Valor have taken position on the enemy's flank," Kaida reported. "They're ready to assist in the assault on the capital ships." Vorn nodded. "Good. Tell them to focus fire on the engines of the capital ships. We need to disable them before they can mount a counteroffensive." Kaida relayed the orders, and Vorn's gaze drifted to the holographic display, where the positions of both fleets were rendered in sharp detail. The enemy fleet was disorganized, but the capital ships, massive, hulking vessels bristling with advanced weaponry, remained a threat. Their firepower was enough to tear through smaller human ships with ease, and if they managed to regroup, the battle could still turn in their favor. But Vorn wasn't going to give them that chance. "We're coming in range of their lead capital ship," Kaida said, her voice tense. "Weapon systems are locking on." Vorn looked out through the viewport, where the enemy's command vessel filled the view. It was enormous, easily twice the size of the Relentless its dark hull covered in strange alien glyphs that glowed faintly in the darkness of space. The ship was clearly designed for war, with rows of plasma turrets and missile bays lining its sides. "Prepare all weapons," Vorn ordered. "Concentrate fire on their forward shields. We're going to punch a hole straight through them." The crew responded instantly, and the ship shuddered as its main batteries charged. Beams of energy lashed out from the Relentless striking the enemy ship's shields in a brilliant cascade of sparks and energy. The Haravak capital ship returned fire, its plasma cannons flaring to life as they unleashed a barrage of deadly green bolts. The Relentless shook under the impact, but its shields held, for now. "Shields at 80%, Kaida reported, her voice steady but tense. "We're taking heavy fire." "Keep up the pressure," Vorn said, his eyes narrowing. "We break their shields and they're finished." Outside, the rest of the human fleet moved in, circling the Haravak capital ship like a pack of predators. The Vanguard and Valor fired in unison, their combined firepower overwhelming the enemy ship's defenses. Explosions rocked the capital ship as its shields faltered under the relentless assault. Vorn's attention shifted to a smaller display, which showed the positions of the remaining Haravak ships. The fleet was still in disarray, their command structure crippled after the loss of the first wave, but even in their disorganized state they were dangerous. Several smaller Haravak ships had regrouped and were attempting to flank the human fleet, hoping to catch them off guard. "Kaida, deploy defensive countermeasures," Vorn ordered. "We can't let them hit us from behind." "On it, Admiral," Kaida responded, tapping a series of commands into her console. Moments later, several automated defense drones launched from the Relentless spreading out in a protective perimeter around the human fleet. The drones immediately began intercepting enemy fire, their agile forms darting through space as they created a barrier between the Haravak ships and the human capital ships. "Enemy shields are down!" Kaida shouted, her voice filled with excitement. "We've broken through!" Vorn didn't hesitate. "Fire all weapons! Target their power core!" The Relentless unleashed its full might, every gun, missile, and energy weapon focusing on the exposed HFY capital ship. The combined firepower was overwhelming, and within seconds the alien vessel's hull ruptured in a massive explosion. Flames and debris scattered through the void as the massive ship began to break apart, its wreckage floating lifelessly in space. A cheer erupted from the crew, but Vorn wasn't celebrating just yet. This was only one victory in a much larger war, and the reinforcements were still en route. "Admiral, the HFY forces are scattering," Kaida reported, her tone shifting. "They're retreating." Vorn studied the tactical display. Sure enough, the remaining HFY ships were breaking formation and fleeing in different directions, their disorganized retreat leaving them vulnerable. But they were buying time, for the reinforcements, no doubt. "Let them run," Vorn said, turning back to Kaida. "We need to prepare for the reinforcements. Get me a status update on our forces." Kaida nodded and quickly brought up a new report. "Shields are down to 65%, but the Relentless is still operational. We've lost 2 frigates, and several of our fighters are heavily damaged, but the bulk of the fleet remains intact." Vorn took a deep breath, letting the weight of the situation settle over him. They had won this battle, but the next wave would be even more dangerous. The incoming reinforcements could easily overwhelm their depleted forces if they weren't careful. "Send a transmission to the Martian Defense Fleet," Vorn ordered. "Tell them we need immediate reinforcements." Kaida hesitated. "Admiral, even with reinforcements, we'll be outnumbered. The HFY reinforcements will be here within the hour." Vorn's eyes narrowed. He knew Kaida was right, but retreat wasn't an option. Not here. Not now. If they didn't hold the line, the HFY would press deeper into human-controlled space, and Earth itself could be at risk. "We don't need to win this battle," Vorn said quietly, more to himself than to Kaida. "We just need to survive it." Kaida glanced at him, her expression unreadable, but she quickly relayed his orders to the fleet. Outside, the human ships began regrouping, forming defensive formations in preparation for the next wave. The debris of destroyed HFY ships drifted silently through space, a grim reminder of the cost of this war. As the crew worked to ready the ship for the inevitable clash, Vorn's thoughts turned to the enemy. The HFY were relentless, ruthless, and vast in number, but they were not invincible. This battle had proven that, and if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was defying the odds. The stars shimmered in the distance as the remaining human fleet braced for the incoming HFY reinforcements. Admiral Vorn stood at the center of the Relentless *, his fingers gripping the edge of the control panel as Kaida's voice cut through the static of the comms. "Admiral, HFY reinforcements are entering range. They're massive." Vorn nodded, eyes narrowing as the massive alien fleet appeared on the holographic display. Thousands of ships, larger and deadlier than anything they'd faced before. The odds were impossible, but there was no turning back. "Kaida," Vorn said, "prepare for a full-scale retreat, but on my signal. We're going to make them believe we're running." Kaida's brow furrowed. "Retreat? Admiral, trust me," Vorn interrupted, his voice calm. "Have all ships begin a slow pullback, just enough to draw them in." The fleet responded, slowly backing away from the incoming alien armada. As the HFY ships charged forward, believing the humans to be in full retreat, Vorn's plan came into motion. "Now!" Vorn barked. "Activate the Nova Core!" The Relentless had one last desperate weapon, an overcharged Nova Core, capable of creating a localized gravitational anomaly that could rip through space itself. It was a suicide move, but the only way to take the HFY reinforcements with them. The ship shuddered violently as the core powered up. Outside, the alien fleet closed in, unaware of the deadly trap being laid. "Admiral," Kaida whispered, "it's been an honor." Vorn gave a single nod, his eyes fixed on the enemy fleet. For humanity. The Nova Core unleashed its power. A massive gravitational pulse exploded outward, engulfing the entire sector. The HFY ships were caught in the anomaly, torn apart as space itself collapsed around them. The human fleet, already at the edge of the pulse, was thrown back, their ships barely escaping the pull. In the center of the maelstrom, the Relentless held for a moment longer before it, too, was consumed by the blast. Vorn closed his eyes as the ship disintegrated around him. Months later, humanity celebrated the victory. The Hravak were broken, their forces decimated by the trap laid by Admiral Vorn. His sacrifice had bought humanity the time it needed to regroup and push the remaining alien forces back. Vorn's name became legend, a symbol of humanity's resilience in the face of impossible odds. The stars he had fought to protect now shone a little brighter, and though the war had left scars, it had also left hope. Humanity had survived, and they would endure.